Hello. So, let's talk a little bit more about breathing for singing. Okay. Now, there are many theories out there about how you should breathe when you sing, and I've had many teachers myself, and almost every one of them have their own theories, feelings of how you should breathe. This is the only way, you have to do this and this. Okay, so it's really it's really confusing, and in the end you have to decide for yourself what works for you. But you can get lost in all the information, so I'm going to provide my perspective. So if you find it useful, I'm happy, but you have to try it yourself. And of course you can't immediately know that, oh, this is not working or this is working. You have to give it some time. Okay, like we talk about these tensions. If you have a lot of tensions in the solar plexus, you can't even start to implement this kind of breathing for singing. So that's one of the first things you have to get rid of. Okay, so perhaps I could show you a couple of ideas that I was presented with. The first one is, well, it's quite common among singing teachers that you have this big expansion to the sides, you know, like when you inhale you have, okay, and then you sing, well, that works in a way pretty good, but I myself never felt really comfortable with that, because when you do this and you try to keep, like they say, open, okay, you don't feel relaxed. Okay, when I say relaxed, it's you're not supposed to be sleepy and all in that kind of way relaxed. There has to be some tone in your muscles, of course, some activity, but I always sense that if I'm like this, I'm holding so much that it creates tension. Yeah? Okay, so and it takes a lot of energy, you know. If you must keep yourself, so to speak, open here and even here, it takes a lot of energy, and well, at least I got very tired singing like this. Okay, the other another proposal is to just do this, you know. This is excellent for everyday breathing, but for singing, especially for classical and opera, if you sing things like that, this isn't quite enough, you know. If you sing Amazing Grace, how sweet, that's enough. You don't need more. I hate to use the word control, but you don't need that any more effectivity in your breathing, especially if you have a microphone. So you don't need to project the voice. Okay, well, since I worked mainly as a classical singer, I found this, let's call it the natural approach, not quite sufficient. Okay, yeah, So if you sing Manato sole, it feels that the air dissipates too fast. So there's not this counterbalance, okay? Because one of the ideas of this is that you have this counterbalance by when it stretches the diaphragm, okay? The diaphragm, if you're familiar with the concept, is like a parachute, and when you inhale, it descends, flattens, like this, okay? So when you open the sides, it stretches it, okay? Well, and in the older days, there were even ideas that you should breathe mainly here. But that's not good, because you, in that case, you are engaging these so-called emergency breathing muscles, and you get all tense here. We can get back to that later, but okay. And if you read interviews with great classical singers especially, many of them say that, oh no, you have to breathe only in the back, like expand here. And I'm not saying that's bad, that's actually really good. But you might guess already what I'm going to say. None of these alone provide the best breathing for singing. In a sense, you have to combine. So you have to have proper diaphragmatic breathing, and you have to have some control with the lower ribs so that you can stretch them, and you have to try to expand your back also. The way to understand this is actually, if I can, well, I don't have the book now, but I'll post a link on the website. So in this one book, I think I found the answer. Because, you know, if we try to combine all these things, all these ways of breathing, and when you understand how the diaphragm can work, let's start there. So in its resting position, when you've exhaled, it's like a parachute, okay? So it's possible for the diaphragm to move a little bit downwards and flatten a bit. Yeah? Like you had an umbrella and you draw it downwards. So there's mainly when it contracts and flattens, your stomach comes outwards, okay, because it pushes the inner organs out of its way. So you have this. So it comes downwards. There can be some movement, slight movement to the sides, but mainly it goes like this, pushes the inner organs out of its way. Okay. Now, let's say you have only this rib expansion to the sides. What happens then? You stretch the diaphragm, because the diaphragm is connected to the lower ribs. So it's like a blanket, you stretch it like this. So that's good in a way, because then you have some control of its tension, and when it flattens you get air. It creates a vacuum and the air comes in. But the problem is that the diaphragm itself hasn't descended. So if you only do this, you are stretching the diaphragm like this. But there's no downward movement, and you can feel there's no expansion in the belly. Okay. So, as I see it and experienced, the solution is to think it like this. You first, when you start to inhale, you imagine that the diaphragm descends. It goes lower and you get a little bit of expansion here. But then you continue, you add this other element of the sides and also the back. And also try even more to expand here. So we have downward movement and then stretching to all sides. Like Pavarotti said in some interview, he said that it feels like he had this ring around his waist that expands to all sides, you know. But you can't start from just thinking to the sides without first feeling how the diaphragm descends, okay? So you have descends and then okay, descend and expand. Okay, anyway, that's how I see it, and I think it works pretty well. And we'll talk about more how to practice, especially this expansion in the back sides. So we'll continue. Okay, thanks.